welcome to ETBFSI. My name is Syed Pasiuddin, and today we have with us the CEO of Shriram Transport Finance, Mr. Umesh Rurvankar. Mr. Umesh, firstly, thank you very much for giving your time to ETBFSI. It's a pleasure having you here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure too.
So, of course, we are obviously talking in very uncertain circumstances. So, my first question has to be about COVID and how it has been for you as a CEO as well as Shriram Transport Finance. If you could tell what were the challenges and the learning curve that you had over these past 3 months.
When COVID started, COVID talk started talking, spreading maybe in the month of March. I thought it not really spread, and even if it is spread, I thought we'll be able to manage without really having to go for. I never thought of imagining a situation of lockdown. I think the companies will work with the 50% of workforce and everyone will manage themselves. When the state government first intervened on March 20th, then central government on March 24th, it was a surprise. The surprise also was because it did not give enough time for anyone and everyone were stuck where they are. And especially in the financing trucks, where the trucks move across the country. And most of the trucks were stuck into respective place and they could not move back or move forward. And that created some kind of anxiety for us on meeting the customer or how to meet our other day-to-day requirement and how people would be able to move. But we accepted it as the national requirement, country's requirement in the interest of country. Everybody, we told them to just try to reach the customer through phone and if possible, try to help them out in wherever they are. So that's how we started and took first 2 days to learn what's happening across the country. Once we realized that, then we told our staff to be in touch with customer throughout to find how they can manage the current situation, giving them guidance. So we were waiting for April 14 and lockdown to go open, but when it is continued for the second time, third time, fourth time, then I told our staff that we should start functioning as if we are working. And instead of physically meeting, many of our functions are physically meeting customer, talking to them, collecting money. I said we should go to the phone and digital mode of collection or whatever customer needs support, working capital requirement or any other assistance. Including we tried to provide them food and all, where many of the truck drivers were stuck across the country. So through some NGOs in the local places, we tried to reach out to them. So we started the meeting, and one biggest learning to us is we need not really physically meet customer all the time. We can do the business, we can manage, we can guide, we can also encourage customer over phone, and we can also collect money through digital platform. Even though we did move on to digital platform long back during the post demonetization time, but we felt that this is a most important moment for us to convert the customer into digital payment, and that's where we progressed. And also, we continuously keep on giving a message and information to our employees and customers that social distancing, wearing masks, having hygiene, and also from April 20th, when the actually market opened up or other government allowed the vehicles to move, many of the truck owners were not aware that it is opened up. And we have to virtually tell them, goad them and guide them, because truck movement, logistic and supply chain is so important to the country. If our people, if our truckers don't move, then many of the day-to-day requirement, essentials, perishables, do not reach to the customers. That's how we motivated the customers to start moving out, and that we could see immediate results, because as they started moving out from May first week, our collection also has come back, and collections were good. It's not because we wanted to collect money very eagerly. It is we wanted to make the customer realize that business is normal, and he has a responsibility and duty to do during these circumstances. If the truck do not move, where is the vegetable coming from? Where the all your day-to-day requirement will come from? And because they moved the truck, I should say, the inflation was under control. There was no shortage of any food items, and all essentials were reaching your home properly. And I think our customers played a very, very important role in making this happen.
Very interesting, sir. Sir, but in the terms of lockdown, so back in June, you had said that you expected 50% of your customers to upgrade their vehicles, and that 70% of which would be making payments. Did this actually eventually happen through the gradual relaxation of the lockdown?
Yes, June was good because lockdown was finally open and unlocking started happening. So we could reach to most of our truckers across the country, except for a few segments where the movement was not possible in taxis or in the mining belt, etc. Most of the other trucks were moving, and 70% of our customers made the payment. And one thing what we did is we never insisted on full payment to the customer.
Right.
We said whatever you are earning, whatever is possible for you to make the payment, you please make the payment. We made it convenient for him without feeling guilty that he's not able to pay full payment, because we wanted him to encourage the earning and paying rather than just demanding the EMI.
Interesting. So, and this activity, so where has this been segmented usually? Is this basically in the green and orange zones of the non-tier 1 and tier 2 centers? Or are you even seeing activity in starting up in tier 1 and tier 2 centers as well?
See, in the urban center, we definitely had certain challenges. Because most of the urban centers had red zones or containment zones. Movements were restricted, but the rural market was totally open, and number of the infection levels, virus spread also was low. And also, what is most important is the May month was the harvesting month for the winter crop, and this year the crop was bumper, and it was very much essential for our truckers to move the goods, whatever the harvested food grains. And government also played a very important role. They were the first people to procure food grains from the rural area, from the farmers. Therefore, the rural market, rural activity was continuous. Cash flow was good to them, and we saw increasing or normal activity in the rural market. We never saw the COVID impact in the rural market. Urban, yes, we did see some impact because of the containment zones. Even today, the containment zones are moving from one place to another place. But I think, by and large, the tier 2 cities are quite okay. Tier 1 cities and metros are having some challenges because of the crowded locations. So spread is fast and containment becomes a little challenge. But otherwise, it is quite a normal activity. And I feel July and August, it should become much better than June. And September should be the pre-lockdown situation.
So, even in terms of payments as well, so are you still expecting that maybe in July and August, this part payments would eventually turn to full payments by customers? Or
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, slowly you are right. That it will become slowly into full payment. But we are very happy as long as customer is making the payment, because we have given a moratorium to our customers customers have a choice of making the payment, or they can make the part payment or the full payment. But we are happy if the customer is making, because ultimately in our business or the trucking business, what's most important is making the vehicle loan free.
Yes.
Because once the vehicle is loan free, he is able to sell it and make money out of his investment. So typically that is how the business moves. So people normally, a trucker keeps the vehicle for 3 to 4 years, not more than that. He takes it on a loan, buys it on a loan, and repays the loan. Then once the loan is repaid, then he sells that. He buys another vehicle, because if a particular, for any particular business, if a person wants to own a 5 years old vehicle, moment it becomes 8 years, he doesn't want to own it further.
Yes.
He will sell it to the person who buys a 8 years old vehicle. So he will again buy another 5 years old vehicle. So like that, there is always a churning. It is not that he'll keep continuing the vehicle till 10, 12 years.
True. So in terms of collection efficiency, by May, I think you guys had reached 52%. But since then, has collection efficiency also improved for Shriram Transport Finance?
Yeah, June, the collection was around 60% of the normal collection. And even though this moratorium is there, still we were able to collect money on because people are earning money. As long as they earn money, they'll pay. So I think collection efficiency wise, we are quite comfortable and happy.
And in terms of disbursements, so how about your fresh disbursements? And if they're actually happening, are they happening towards your existing customers, or are these new customers? And if you could also maybe even classify which type of segment of customers are these? Are these more towards the heavy commercial vehicles, or are these the light and medium commercial vehicle segment?
We started disbursing from the third week of June because the RTOs were not working till maybe second week of June. Because in our business, what's important is RTO should start functioning. The buyers and sellers ownership transfer has to take place, and hypothecation should be completed. And therefore, RTO functioning was very important. So till the RTO was open, we never accepted any new proposal. But after that, we started accepting proposal. Until then, we cleared all the old pending proposal. Because in the month of March, we had a few pipeline cases. All those pipeline cases we finished, and we started disbursing from June 3rd week. And now the fresh demand is mostly from the rural market for the tractor or a small commercial vehicle, or even a heavy vehicle, but used vehicle. But all demand is from the rural market. Urban market is yet to show any kind of hurry to come back and buy a new vehicle or exchange the vehicle, and we don't see demand that much. But my feedback is that people are preparing for August, because now it is a peak monsoon. Once the monsoon recedes to some extent, people will start. So I think in and around Ganesh Chaturthi, the demand would peak.
So also one more question I had was the fact that in every crisis, for example, the global financial crisis as well, one aspect that always shines out is the pre-owned vehicle aspect. Do you feel that COVID again would be the push in India for to again push pre-owned commercial vehicles in the market more and more? Will this now become a more attractive proposition than before?
See, pre-owned vehicles are always a better option because your capital investment is low, and you can manage the earning, because earning of a pre-owned vehicle and a new vehicle would be almost same. The only difference would be pre-owned vehicle have more maintenance cost, and new vehicles have no maintenance cost, at least for first 1.5 to 2 years. And when that is the difference, if your earning is same, only thing is you are incurring a little more expenses in maintaining it. Your loan amount is small and the EMIs are small. You can always manage. So even with around 60-70% efficiency, you can still manage to run the vehicle, operate the vehicle, and make the payment to the financiers. So to that extent, it gives flexibility for the owner to own and run. And I think, therefore, the pre-owned vehicle will always remain a comfort zone for the operators. Only thing is, if you are in a trunk route and if you are transporting high value-added goods, then people prefer new vehicle, because if you are carrying very expensive pharmaceutical item or some other very, there you need to be, you need to reach in time bound fashion. You should not have any breakdown. Value of the goods will be very high. All those things. When that is the case, you need new vehicle. Otherwise, a used vehicle does same function as a new vehicle. Therefore, it is always a convenient and comfortable to lend to the pre-owned vehicle, and your exposure also is much smaller.
Interesting. So, and I'd like to speak about the moratorium now. Have you seen more takers of the moratorium in the phase two? Because many banks and NBFCs have reported the fact that many customers are not opting for the moratorium in the phase two as compared to the phase one. And also, do you see that the moratorium period should be extended again till maybe to December as well?
See, moratorium is a benefit or the comfort given to the borrower. Because when, if at all I give a moratorium to customer, there is no demand from us, or no EMI to be paid. If he is earning, he pays. So his track record doesn't get spoiled once. And second thing is, his credit score doesn't get bad. So because of that, moratorium helps the customer to maintain his track record and credit score with the company. And if at all he earning, he will pay and will not take a moratorium. That's how it is. So moratorium is not the something demand from the customer that you should give us. It is offered to them to maintain their what called credit score and track record. That's all. So the extension of this moratorium itself, we were not expecting, and we were not really very demanding any kind of a moratorium for our customers. Whether customers have made any request directly to the central bank, RBI, or the government, we are not aware of any such situation. I don't think the customers would have asked for it. Maybe certain industries which were more impacted, that they would have asked for the moratorium, like the tourism, travel, hotel, all those businesses were severely impacted, and their the business revival itself is not unknown. It may take a longer time, but for a truck operator, moment the economy starts picking up, he starts getting his business. So for him, it's a V-shaped recovery. He need not really wait for anything. So moratorium was second moratorium was definitely not required, and the third moratorium is something which is not at all needed, is what I feel for our industry. Maybe for some other industry it is required. But what we did demand was, you allow us one-time re-agreement or restructuring. It's mainly because we can have a honest dialogue with the customer and take his comfort and find out about his repayment ability and reschedule the payment. Rather than giving moratorium, then he making a half payment or part payment, you make a rescheduling depending upon his new business model or new earning. So that's what we were looking at. So I still feel the one-time rescheduling would have been much better than second moratorium.
So after August 31, maybe are you expecting any such sort of forbearances for the NBFC sector as well? If not an extended moratorium, but maybe the RBI allowing one-time restructuring? It's been the talk of many.
One-time restructuring helps both customer and financiers to sit on the same table and discuss and negotiate. But since the second moratorium is there, we are not really forcing as any kind of rescheduling now. but I'm not sure about other industry players, but definitely among the non-bank finance company. This is not a ask. We are not really asking for it.
Right. So in terms of moratorium on the business side as well, how do you see, because there were reports that NBFCs were not getting a moratorium themselves on their payments. How do you see this aspect panning out now?
See, we did ask a moratorium because we were not very sure about the COVID situation, and also because it's very fluid, and also the government and bank, what kind of support they are going to give us in this kind of environment was unknown. Therefore, we did ask moratorium for NBFCs, and there are many of these smaller NBFCs who would not have managed to pay the bank without collecting. But we have not. Even though we did ask for a moratorium, when second moratorium was announced, but we did not take it from the bank. We just asked to build a buffer. We thought if we get a moratorium, then we get a buffer for 6 months cushion or something like that.
Right.
But as of now, we have not taken moratorium, and I don't think we need it at this stage.
So about your fundraising plan of rupees 1,500 crore through a rights issue, where do you think this capital would be deployed eventually?
Capital will be deployed only for the growth, for lending, on lending. Basically, we have 18 plus tier 1. We don't need capital for any kind of a statutory requirement. We wanted to take this capital as a confident capital because it gives confidence to the rating agencies and lenders. And our ability to raise equity demonstrates that we can raise it at any point of time. And we have not raised any equity for last 10 years. And if you look at the other banks and the NBFCs, there may be very few NBFCs who have not raised for 10 years. Last time what we raised was 10 years back. And therefore we thought we will come out with a small issue and raise, because for our size, the 1,500 crores, what we have indicated, is very small equity rise, and that will be used for the growth. And we do feel second half of this financial year we will see better growth, and we should be able to raise more funds, because if we raise equity, then the comfort of rating agencies and lenders become better. We can raise more borrowing, and we can increase or improve our business. We do expect a good demand in the second half of the year, and we may not be able to grow our AUM, but it may remain flat for this financial year. But next year, we do expect huge pent-up demand, because on infrastructure spend and the consumer demand and overall the pent-up demand, that will create a huge requirement. So next year could be a huge opportunity for growth, and maybe the less number of companies will be active. So in that kind of scenario, we should be able to make good of this situation and grow faster.
True. So that brings me to my last question again, is that where do you see Shriram Transport Finance in the next 2-3 quarters? Are you seeing that maybe disbursements and collections eventually would come to pre-COVID levels? And ideally, in which month would this happen?
I feel September should be the month where we should be able to come to pre-COVID level, and we should be able to continue to progress from then onwards. So, but we will be very careful in our growth. We will not grow fast. Right now, the rural market is good, and we have very good reach in the rural market. We have, out of our total 2,500 branch and service center network, nearly 60% of them are in the rural or semi-urban area. And we should be able to reach out, because the monsoon prediction is good. So far, the rainfall has been quite good, spread across the country. The scope is very, very good in the rural market. So we should be able to function normally. in the second half of the year. And as I said in the previous, much earlier, that next year we should be able to see much bigger growth.
Interesting. Well, that was Mr. Umesh Purvantal, the CEO of Shriram Transport Finance. Sir, thank you very much for your time and thank you for giving such valuable insights, sir. Thank you.